Any declarations of conflict of interest?
No.
Approval of agenda. 2 items, resolution to appoint members to the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee and the Youth Engagement Committee and Arts and Culture Consultant.
Your worship, sorry.
Yes, sir?
Motion 1.
No, we got approval of the agenda.
Oh, sorry, your worship.
All approved there?
Yes.
Moved by Councillor Ramsey, second by Councillor Twill. All in favor? Okay, you got that resolution, sir?
Yes, worship, moved by Councillor Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Duffy, that the council approves the following appointments as recommended by the Council Advisory Committee effective April 7th, 2021. Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, J.W. Bill Campbell, Robin Graham, Robert Bob Gray. For the Affordable Housing and for the Youth Engagement, your worship, will be Yi Ding, Jonathan Gormley, Emma McKenzie, Tripoli I'm sorry, your worship, Orgini, and Lauren Thompson, your worship.
Just have a quick question. Was it not 4 named on the affordable? Or I know there was was it 4 or 3? Do you remember during that
It
meeting?
was totaling up to 7 on all committees.
Oh, that's right. Okay, right. Yeah.
There's 7 now.
Right, I remember now. I knew
Right,
initially
Tracy?
we were
Yes.
confused with
Yeah.
numbers. Yeah, okay, thanks.
2 are remaining on the youth
Clarification.
engagement. Yeah. Okay, question?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, just on the Affordable Housing Committee. When you look at the jurisdiction, feds, province, city, I guess what I'd like to know, I know I've asked this question a number of times. What's the expectation of this committee? As we all know, we're not in the bricks and mortar. I mean, that's not our jurisdiction, I think we all know that. But when we talk about affordable housing at our level, sometimes it creates a false expectation. I've been bringing this up for the last couple of years. The municipal politicians will talk about it. Then creates a false expectation. So what I want to know, somebody can just give me a summation as to what the expectations are of this committee. Do they understand what their roles and responsibilities will be in terms of reference? What's our expectation as a council? What is the expectation? What's realistic, what's not realistic?
So, Mr. Kelly, I think we keep going back to the affordable housing policy,
Yes, sure.
correct? That was passed in September 2018.
Correct.
And it's one of the recommendations, one of the actions, and it outlined some of the terms of reference in that, like membership and so forth. And did this committee also come up with the terms of references that,
So,
I think Councillor Ramsey, did that go to your committee yet?
so
No.
at the time, your worship, it was working with the group as to where they believe there are issues that the municipality or the city may be able to help. And so council at the time gave them a leeway to do their own terms or to bring terms forward. There were several meetings there, and there was a couple initiatives underway, but there was no defined process after that. So the strategic planning wanted to give them one last chance, your worship. So it came back to the committee for appointment, and now it's here for council to give them the remaining 2 years to prove their value, to go back to Councillor Twill's a concern. But it's also, there was some discussion it should fall under planning because the manager of housing is already on the committee for the province on housing, and so they thought this may be a better fit under the planning committee, and that we would refine their terms of reference to be reflective of that, to your worship.
Yeah.
But this is to give them the opportunity to go back to see where and what scope they may be able to bring forward for our involvement, if any,
Yeah.
and then go forward from there, worship.
And again, it's just an advisory committee.
Correct.
Doesn't make. Councillor Bernard.
No, I think Councilor Trullo brings up a good point. I mean, what I think I'd like to see with terms of reference there before you go form a committee, because we don't have jurisdiction. affordable housing. And I think in the past, what we've been trying to do our part to help affordable housing, whether it's the taxation levels we have or grants that we put forward. But I'm not sure by coming up with an affordable housing advisory committee, anything that the city can do, seeing that we don't have that jurisdiction, the only thing that the city can do is basically with funding or tax breaks.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what message we're sending by setting up an affordable housing. Unless, I'd like to see terms of reference.
But what's that, Tracy?
It's already a committee.
There was already a committee in place.
There's a term of
And we had this discussion at strategic planning, and some councils participated in that discussion. So that's why we moved forward.
So we've already had it been in place for how long?
Well, since
So what's the recommendation been from for the last 2 years?
it went into hold because of the pandemic.
The other committees haven't?
No, with youth engagement, these are the two committees that just went on pause, and members left.
That's my point was, your worship, is the resolution here tonight is to add 3 members to replace missing members.
That's right.
It has nothing to do with establishing a committee or
No, it's-
what that committee does. It's just, let's do it and move
Yeah,
on.
and that's what I mean. Councillor Ramsey, we had this discussion, correct?
Yeah. Yes, your worship, if I can chime in, is that we had this discussion and we were wondering why it was under our group. So we're looking at, we're gonna give them one more crack at the can, as you say, and they're gonna meet every 2 or 3 months and come back with some ideas.
Yeah.
And then what we're gonna do is, we think the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, my committee, like you should go to planning because they have all the rules and the regulations in there. And Alex and all these people can tell them, no, this is the road we're going down, or this is the road you gotta follow and all that stuff.
Okay.
I mean, in order for them to bring us back stuff, well, we would have to go to planning anyway.
So do we have a terms of reference? Is it going
Yes.
2 years? Do we have terms of reference?
We're gonna be looking at all the terms.
They do have a terms of reference.
And it's gonna be reviewed again this weekend, or this Friday, by our group.
Yeah, but again, we've had this conversation at the Strategic Priorities Committee, and it was recommended to go to CAC, correct? Council
Correct.
Advisory,
Yeah.
right, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
And then we appointed them, so this is, it's not creating a new committee. Councilor Rivard?
Your Worship, thank you. So my understanding is the committee, the Affordable Housing Committee in particular, is going to be formed that, it's not so much about, I mean, I know what Councilor Bernard said about, you know, what our role is as a city. I don't think they're going to step on anyone's toes. I think their role, my understanding, is look at other municipalities across the country, figure out, you know, different initiatives that are being used within municipalities to assist with affordable housing. I don't think it's meant to bring policy forward to us or anything like that. I think it's just coming with creative new ideas and maybe some insight from the municipalities. So I think that's their role, so.
And Councilor Duffy, you're right, we're just adding on to existing committees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you wanna
because
call the
there's
question?
7 and 3 left, am I correct?
Yeah. Question?
And that makes sense. I'm just wondering, for the last 2 years, has there been any recommendations come?
No.
forward? I
No,
don't
no,
remember.
no, that's not.
No?
2 years, nothing's been done.
Exactly, that's what I was
But
talking about it at our meetings all the time, is why are we even having them? Because other advisory committees did meet online or virtual or something like that. I mean, but these 2 groups did not meet.
And we addressed that at our last CAC, that you probably got a notice today, talking to the chairs and the managers of the standing committees to give us, CAC, input from anything you as the chair or manager have received from your advisory committee that helped you or you have enacted. Like, there's any value or worth to the advisory committee.
Yeah.
And so then.
So there's a process to evaluate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the chair, Councilor Ramsey, said that I'd like to have them come back every 3 months. Instead of reporting the strategic priorities, it would report to the planning and development standing committee. That's what you're looking for, right, Councilor Ramsey?
I would
Okay.
say that's what we all agreed on, didn't we?
Okay.
And because we don't know anything, like the planning board would know more about affordable housing and all the ins and outs of it than we would.
Question called?
Yes.
Yeah,
Questions
questions
called? Okay, all those in favor? Councilor Duran?
In favor.
10-0. You got another?
No, Your Worship, the other issue here is a follow-up of the budgetary discussions. There wanted to be clarity, I believe, from finance that the arts and culture consultant was included in that, so that's just here that if council would concur, we would then move and fund those funds within the budgetary allotments, and we would go to tender or an RFP on that position, Your Worship.
Okay, just before, Councillor McCabe, do you want to say anything about this position or what discussion we
Unless
had?
Chair of Finance wants to speak first.
Well, and did you want to say something
So
to?
basically, yes, well, it was my understanding when we did our new initiatives in the budget that this position was going through.
Yeah.
Since learned that it didn't go through, so I was just following up because I think we do need to look at. There was discussion at the end of our budgetary discussion, but it was kind of all over the place, so I was left with the impression that we were going to support this new initiative as well as the Parks one, as well as the 2 new police officers. So I just wanted to see if we could get support of council.
So are you moving?
Okay.
Are you moving?
I would like to move it.
Want to move a resolution?
Yeah.
And the funding is what, 19,000, 20,000?
It was-
15 or 20 is
But we have to go to an
discussion.
RFP, Your Worship,
Go to the RFP.
between 15 and 20, Your Worship.
Yeah.
Seconder? Okay. Councillor Yankoff? So the motion's on the floor.
It's a one-shot deal, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's only for this 6 month?
It's to take the initiative that they've already done at the Arts Advisory Board with Mansion Charlottetown and to try and find funding to support public art in the city, not public art, just murals, public art, meaning bringing life back to our city, the whole city, not just the greater downtown Charlottetown.
Commemorate statues and so forth? Yeah. Councillor Twill?
What about our third staff? You know, we have dance coordinator, we have 3 staff members now.
I'm not sure, because you sit on that committee, if you were at the discussion that we did have at our committee level.
Okay.
If you were at that meeting or not, but we did talk about Laurel's not gonna have, position is gonna be doing more, taking that and finding
Public.
funds and finding access to different grants and programs that we can use to plug in to. Laurel doesn't, our tourism and culture doesn't have time to take the recommendations that come out of their working documents to go find funding opportunities and projects and stuff. And it is a one-time event, Councilor Swift. I think you were at the committee when we did discuss it.
Yeah. Councillor Yankoff? Oh, you done there? Sorry,
We
Councillor
all moved
Twill.
it at our committee level to take it to
You can go there,
finance,
sir.
we just didn't make it through finance.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to, like, when we first established the committee, it seems to happen when we establish these new committees, and next thing you know, we're bringing in the coordinator, and then it starts out as a pilot project, and next thing you know, comes a permanent fixture. Have we explored any ideas of what can be done with the other levels of government, and whether or not?
That's what this position would do.
No,
The board members are volunteers that work full-time. They don't have time to take this and make it into a working opportunity. But if I'm not answering your question, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, I'll try again. So, Mr. Kelly, maybe you can help. Was there any discussions or any exploration done, let's say, the other levels of government, like Parks Canada, and to see if we could, are we reinventing the wheel? Are they already doing some of the, exploring some of the, possibilities of public art here in the city? And can we not tap into their expertise? I already have expertise on staff.
So as I understand, Councillor, is that this person would work for the cities as a consultant to review our, what we have, what we may be deficient, what policies or programs we may want to implement. And so it's just a snapshot of where we're at and where they believe we may wish to go going forward.
It's not a position, Councilor Twill. It's a consultant, a role.
6, 9 months.
For how long?
6.
Councilor McCabe?
It could be 6 months to a year, depending what the RFP goes out.
But it's not a permanent position, it's just a one-off.
Well, but was there any,
But they will explore, it came from the Arts Advisory Committee, and as we move forward, we'll explore if there's any funds with any other agencies that we may be able to garner as well,
Like Parks Canada
or ACOA or others, Your Worship.
or ACOA. Or the province.
but we haven't done any, we've done no exploratory work thus far.
Again, our staff, the reason why they're going out, Councillor, is that we don't have the expertise that we're trying to get here. And we will have discussions with others to see what we can work cooperatively with as well.
Can Councillor Yankoff ask a question? Can you ask, you want to ask a question?
I just to kind of build on what Councillor Twill was saying.
Yeah.
As somebody who's in the world of art and culture, looking for money for that is a full-time thing. And you're right, there is money in Canadian Heritage and Park, but it's a full-time job to find it and then write up the applications oftentimes are 100 pages long. So I would imagine, you know, coming from a place of curiosity, I would assume, and maybe Councillor McCabe, as chair of the committee, can answer this for me, that this consultant will also be able to locate where there could be money and funding partners to go forward.
That's a big piece of what they're doing.
Yeah.
They will be assisting the Arts Advisory Board with all the feedback that they've received from the residents with the mentioned Charlotte County application.
Thank you, and I can tell you it is a daunting process that the present staff downstairs, I mean, not that they don't have the intelligence, they do, but it is so time consuming that they wouldn't have the time to do it.
Especially in this time of a pandemic.
Pandemic or not, it is a lot of work to find money.
Okay. Councillor Bernard.
Yeah, I think we talked about this during budget time.
We did.
This was the 22,000, was it not?
Well, there was, the groomer was also part of that discussion. This was part of the discussion, the 2 police officers.
Yeah.
And we said, look, if we can find the money, let's make it happen.
And the little show,
That's already in there.
Oh, that was.
Lobster in the pocket's already there. Yeah, the lobster in the pocket's got his money.
Okay, 'cause I would have thought that they would have been, I thought we gave the okay for this.
I wonder if it's Lester, the lobster. Okay, question?
Just a second, Worship.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh,
Questions called, and just want to get it signed first. Always get a signature. Councilor Bernard, co-chair. Vice chair. Did you want to read it out there, Mr. Kelly? CAO?
Your Worship, moved by Deputy Mayor Cody, second by Councillor Rivard, that the arts and cultural consultant be added to the 2021-22 operations budget, and further that staff find the required funds within the approved budget, Your Worship.
Okay. Question? What, the CAO or to the,
CAO.
okay?
So,
CAO.
we went for request for proposals for a consultant. But this person, whoever that person's going to be, has to clearly demonstrate that they have the credentials and qualifications to be able to take on such an endeavor.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct, Councillor.
Okay.
And so we'll work with the Arts and Culture Committee to make sure we have all those pieces in place.
With a master's degree.
Whatever the requirements are, Councillor.
Okay, no?
BA, BED?
Pardon
A
me?
BA or a BED?
Okay.
Questions called. How many's in favor, please raise your hands. Okay, Councillor Duran, yea or nay?
In favor.
Okay, 10-0. Okay, carried. And there, sir. 2 resolutions. And we're going motion to move into a closed session as per section 119 subsection 1B and E of the Municipal Government Act, Prince Edward Island. Motion's on the floor. You want to move it? Okay, I need a mover first.
I'll move it.
Moved by Councillor Ramsey, second by Councillor Yankoff. Motion's on the floor. Question.
Question is, why is items B and item C something discussed in the closed door session?
But you can't discuss that, sir.
Pardon me?
That's on the closed agenda. Well, they'll have to wait to go to the closed agenda and bring it up then.
Well, why can't it be done in an open forum?
Well, we have
On the tender process, what's the big secret?
tendering process. I should defer that to Mr. Kelly, or should I defer it to the Chair of Finance? Is that the only item you're concerned about?
Well, part of me just decided to put money aside for arts and agricultural consultant, we did it for public
Yeah.
forum, so.
Hold on, no, you're discussing that closed agenda.
Yeah,
You're asking about 119 subsection 1B and E.
B,
So-
C, to be discussed in an open forum.
Item number 5, motion to move into a closed session is for section 119 subsection 1B and E. Mr. Kelly, can you explain the B and E for,
So, Your Worship, as I understand, that the issues that are on here are dealing with either land issues, they're dealing with the legal elements of the tender process, or other issues that may involve and legal elements, Your Worship.
So we can't discuss the tendering process. All we're discussing is the process. We're not talking about the tender. So we can't do that in public forum.
legalities too, right, Mr. Kelly?
As I understand it, there's some legal discussions that council wants to have, Your Worship.
I thought Councilor Rivard removed that. Did you remove that?
I'm waiting to approve the agenda.
We're not in the agenda yet.
See, that's why we can't
We're not in
discuss it.
session yet.
Sorry.
Yeah,
So you can talk to the legal solicitor in here?
Yes.
yes, sir.
Oh.
Okay. Question? Question call?
Question call.
Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hands. Councillor Duran, yea or nay?
In favor?
Okay, so we're going into closed session.